All right, so welcome all in the weekly webinar with Market Masterclass with Religare. And for those who are joining us for the first time, I'll just brief the structure. So during this presentation, we'll talk about the performance during the week, uh, the benchmark, sectoral indices, Nifty 50 gainers, losers. Then comes our view for the next week for both Nifty and the banking index and some of these stocks which should be on your radar for long and short trades. So it's basically, uh, you know, a kind of a preparation that we do for the next week through this webinar. So अभी आप सभी का स्वागत है इस वीकली वेबिनार में। और इस वेबिनार में बेसिकली देखिए हम बात करते हैं मार्केट की परफॉर्मेंस कैसी रही इस हफ्ते, नेक्स्ट वीक क्या एंटिसिपेटेड है, किन लेवल्स पे ध्यान रखना चाहिए निफ्टी और बैंकिंग इंडेक्स में, साथ ही साथ कौन से स्टॉक्स जो आपके फोकस में होने चाहिए, इन सभी पे हम बात करेंगे। वी एंड दिस प्रेजेंटेशन विद small feedback poll, and then any questions related to the presentation, any particular sector that we you wish to discuss in detail. Obviously, you can pose those questions. We avoid stock specific queries because then it's going to be an unending webinar. So let's get started. So yes, first a quick disclaimer that it's more for your educational and informational purpose. It's not a trading or an investment recommendation. So before making any decision based on the information shared, please check with your financial advisor. Now, this is a single page view for what happened in the market during the week. So as you can see, the first line on benchmark performance, Nifty and Sensex, both shed over 4% each. So if you remember that last 3 weeks, the tone was positive, we were inching higher. So we have almost engulfed more than 2.5 weeks kind of a gain in just a single week. And I can't recall that when we had this kind of 4.5% kind of a cut in index, at least in the recent months. So it's definitely a bad week with the start of a new month. In line with the benchmark index, the real, the sectoral performance was in sync. Means realty, auto, energy, banking, financials, all the key, performers witnessed sharp correction during the week. Only metal could manage to end marginally in the green, but the rest of the sectors, they were completely on the sidelines. Talking about gainers and losers, again, you'll see 3 names from the metal basket: JSW Steel, Tata Steel, Hindalco, and 2 stocks from the IT basket, that is Infosys and TechM, on the gaining side. But it's not a very prominent gain. As you can see, that is less than 1% in 4 stocks. It's just only JSW could manage to gain nearly 3.5%. On the losing side, heavyweights, especially Reliance, 9% kind of a cut. So that pushed. So Reliance was because people must be eager to know about what's going on in Reliance. So it's been almost nearly 3-4 months we were seeing the stock trading in the range 29,550 to 30.50. So after almost 3-4 months of consolidation, it witnessed a fresh breakdown. And not only the range breakdown, but also below the long-term averages, which indicates a long-term trend around 28.50. So a major factor that why we have lost 4%, Reliance is clearly the indication. Then we have Shriram Finance, BPCL, Axis Bank, Hero Motoko. So from other sectors also, be it energy, banking, financials, auto, we saw the pressure. देखिए ये इस हफ्ते का इम्पोर्टेंस क्यों था? बिकॉज 3 हफ्तों की तेजी के बाद मार्केट में सेलिंग आया और सेलिंग काफी शार्प आया। मींस अभी तक जो हम बढ़ रहे थे वीक ऑन वीक, वो करीब 1% 1.5% के गेंस थे। तो इस एक हफ्ते के डिक्लाइन ने पिछले करीब 2.5-3 हफ्तों के गेंस को निकाल दिया। केवल मेटल के अलावा ज्यादातर सारे सेक्टर्स आपको नजर आएंगे नेगेटिव साइड पे, और नेगेटिव में रिलायंस, जो कि एक हैवी वेट है, जो कि परफॉर्म नहीं कर रहा था काफी टाइम से, उसमें प्रेशर देखने को मिला, करीब 9% से ज्यादा की कट। तो इन शॉर्ट, एक आउट एंड आउट यू नो वीक, जिसे कहते हैं कि बेयर्स, जो मंदी करने वाले होते हैं, उनके फेवर में रहा। नाउ लेट्स सी how we are placed after this decline. So this is the daily graph of Nifty 50 index, and we were here last week, right? And we were talking about 26, 500 and maybe higher, with support at 25, 900, 700. So on the second day itself, first day itself, because it was a holiday shortened week, Nifty breached that mark decisively. So after that, another important support that we had of 20 EMA, which we always talk about during the webinar, wherein we see this level respect. So every time we come to this yellow line, after spending 3-4 days of consolidation around here and there, and we eventually resume the trend. But this time around, it's a decisive break below this 20 EMA. So obviously, it's been almost several months, rather, yes, I wouldn't say weeks, where we have this kind of sharp decline on the week-on-week basis. So as we were discussing about all the key sectors barring metal under pressure, but banking and some of the heavyweights which were not participating it earlier, like Reliance, L&T, that was the major trigger and which pushed the market completely on the backward. So it's not only the 20 EMA, as you can see, there is a support line. So this line, which we are seeing on the screen, close to around 25, 300, 350, is a trend line basically, which talks about a trend, whether the stock is in uptrend, downtrend. So that also we breezed, on Thursday itself. And today, though we made an attempt of recovery in the first half, but the way selling pressure emerged in the second half, it completely derailed the recovery. So this indicates markets may witness further pressure in days to come. So now what should be the support zone where we should be eyeing the key levels? So this area where last time we had this consolidation before this up move should act as the next area of support, right? So now that comes around 24,750, and then this green line, which is 100 EMA, which is placed around 24,350. So these are the two key areas that we have for the next week as a support, considering that we are seeing selling pressure, strong selling pressure rather, across the board. In case of recovery, this yellow line, which was earlier acting as a support, might act as a resistance now. Plus we have this trend line hurdle as well. So 25, 500, 550 would be the area of resistance. Once we break, then it might attempt higher levels. But as of now, it seems like this, that 25, 500, 550 is going to be the strong area of hurdle for the index. So the approach should be maintain sullen rise until we close above 25,600 decisively. तो देखिए ये निफ्टी का डेली का ग्राफ है और अभी तक सब कुछ सही चलता आ रहा था। मींस आप ये देख पा रहे हैं जैसे कि ये बेसिकली आपके निफ्टी के प्राइसेस को ग्राफिकल फॉर्मेट में प्रेजेंट करने का तरीका है। तो जैसे कि 24,000 से आप 26,200 तक पहुंचे। सब कुछ मार्जिनल कंसोलिडेशन के साथ थोड़ा बहुत डिप आता था बट टोन पॉजिटिव था। वो सब का सब ऑलमोस्ट जैसे मैं बता रहा था कि 2-2.5 वीक के जितने भी गेंस थे वो सारे निकल गए। तो जब इस तरीके की सेलिंग आती है इतने टाइम बाद आती है तो ऑटोमेटिकली थोड़ा सा कॉशन रखना जरूरी होता है बिकॉज अभी तक इतने टाइम से हुआ नहीं है इस तरीके का डिक्लाइन। जैसे कि अगर आप इसको भी देखेंगे ना, ये आपकी स्क्रीन पे आ रहा है कि ये रेड कैंडल जो कि काफी शार्प डिक्लाइन हुआ था बट उसको भी हमने बहुत जल्दी रिकवर कर लिया था, राइट। सो वी नीड टू सी बट स्टिल ऑन अ प्रिकॉशनरी नोट कि किस तरीके से मार्केट पैन आउट होगा नेक्स्ट वीक, आपको किस तरीके से तैयार होना है। तो 25,600 500 के रेजिस्टेंस है, उसको थोड़ा सा ऊपर ही आप रखते हैं। जब तक इसके ऊपर क्लोज नहीं हो जाता ना इंडेक्स, तब तक बायर्स अब नेगेटिव साइड पे रहेगा। और सपोर्ट कहाँ रहेंगे, जो ये प्रीवियस जहां पे कंसोलिडेट किया था उसका लो करीब 24,750 और फिर ये जो ग्रीन लाइन जो करीब 24,350 के पास है, राइट। तो सेल ऑन राइज बेसिकली अप्रोच रहेगी इंडेक्स के लिए फॉर द नेक्स्ट वीक। नेक्स्ट बैंकिंग। So here also, like we were very close to the upper band of this rising channel, but like almost a vertical decline. The way we have moved up, we have almost surrendered majority of the gains here. Why? Because the private banking majors, be it ICICI, Axis, HDFC, Innocent Bank, Kotak, they all are falling like 9 pence. So but it's not new in banking because this is the kind of trend that we have been seeing in past also. So just for the reference, it was very sharp move but again a very sharp decline. Then the following up move was also equally sharp uh, reactions in between. We are closer to the 100 EMA, so anyways it's underperforming the benchmark. There's no point about that, but this green line which is around 51,000 mark, we are very closer to that mark. Plus if you see the private banking majors like Axis, ICICI, HDFC, they are also very closer to their monthly support zone. So this 51,000 plus this trend line support, which also coincides closer to that mark, closer to around let's say 50,400, 500 zone. Both these factors are likely to cap the decline in banking at least in the next week. So 51,000, 50,500, that will be the area where banking should take rest or form some sign of consolidation, and then maybe we need to see that whether it reverses or it continues the decline and inch toward 49,500. But as of now we are anticipating that banking should find support around 50,500, 51,000 area. तो देखिए बैंकिंग में ना काफी टाइम हो गया है, अब ये बेसिकली अंडर परफॉर्मेंस काफी टाइम से कंटिन्यू हो रही है। आउट परफॉर्मेंस शायद एक वीक के लिए होती है बट अंडर परफॉर्मेंस काफी लंबे टाइम से चलती आ रही है। तो अभी भी जो डिक्लाइन जैसे कि राइज हुआ वैसे भी डिक्लाइन हुआ और अभी सपोर्ट के आप पास ज्यादा पहुंच गए हो, 100 EMA के पास आप ऑलमोस्ट पहुंच गए हो, जहां पे कि आपने निफ्टी में ध्यान दिया होगा कि जो ग्रीन लाइन थी आपकी वो काफी नीचे है, राइट। ये देखिए वो 24,350 के पास है, तो वो काफी नीचे है। यहाँ पे आप ऑलमोस्ट उस लेवल के पास पहुंच गए हो। राइट। तो वी आर एंटिसिपेटिंग कि 51,000 से लेकर 50,500 का जोन है, वहां पर जाके बैंकिंग को एटलीस्ट रुकना चाहिए। जिस तरीके से ये चैनल जिसमें ट्रेड कर रहा है उसको रिस्पेक्ट अगर करना है तो वहां जाके देखा जाएगा कि बेसिकली किस तरीके से रिवर्सल होता है, रिकवरी होती है। बाउंस के केस में 52,900 से लेकर 53,500 का जोन, जैसे 52,900 तो आपका ये करीब गैप वाला एरिया हो गया, और उसके बाद जो मेजर ये बेसिकली इन केस अगर बहुत एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी कुछ बाइंग देखने को मिलती है तब, राइट। सो ये बात हो गई हमारी निफ्टी की और बैंकिंग इंडेक्स की। नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट स्टॉक सेक्टर्स which should be in the focus. So before we talk about stocks, let's touch upon the sectors which performed well or where we expect better performance next week. So among all the key sectors, we feel three names particularly, like IT, pharma, and metal. These sectors were showing resilience during the week, and we expect the way we are seeing buying interest emerging on every dip in majority of these key components can keep the tone positive for the next week as well. तो देखिए अगले हफ्ते में सेक्टर्स में बेसिकली जहां पे कि अभी भी स्ट्रेंथ बनी हुई है बावजूद इसके कि काफी ज्यादा सेलिंग प्रेशर है, पहला नाम होगा आईटी का, दूसरा नाम होगा मेटल्स का, तीसरा फार्मा। तो अभी तक सब कुछ नेगेटिव हो गया है ऐसा नहीं है, इंडेक्स में डिक्लाइन के बावजूद भी ये कुछ सेक्टर्स ऐसे हैं जहां पे की स्ट्रेंथ बनी हुई है, बट इट डजंट मीन दैट वी शुड jump to this conclusion that even if the markets continues to correct, we should be on a buy side. That is not the logic. So basically what we are sharing here is, as and when the market is going to reverse, जब भी मार्केट में बाउंस आएगा, we expect IT, metals and pharma to outperform. So they might not perform well or they might also correct थोड़ा बहुत in line with the market correction. But whenever we are going to see the recovery, we expect IT, metals, and pharma to outperform in the coming week. So keeping that view in mind, first name we have discussed multiple times in past also, again for the same reason that sticking to a quality name doesn't make any difference. So as long as the market is all about making money, so if one particular stock is offering an opportunity time and again, wherein showing strength, then there's no harm sticking to that name. And one such name is Infosys, wherein we have hardly seen any correction. In fact, it ended in green, during the week. So we expect that this consolidation, might extend further in case if the market corrects. But the downside seems capped, so we have multiple supports to look at. As you can see in the screen also, that's a very tight range. Plus we have the 20 EMA also, closed very near. So all these factors, indicates that there is a possibility of outperformance in Infosys in the coming week. तो देखिए आईटी में इन्फोसिस, जो कि हमने पहले भी बहुत बार बात की है कि एचसीएल टेक, इन्फोसिस, टीसीएस लार्ज कैप में रहिए, और यहाँ पे देखिए अभी भी इस चीज का एडवांटेज मिल रहा है कि यहाँ पे गिरावट नहीं है, और जब भी मार्केट में रिकवरी के चांसेस होंगे शायद सबसे पहले आप ही को इन्हीं नाम में ही तेजी देखने को मिले। तो ये जरूर ध्यान रखिएगा कि जब मार्केट का ट्रेंड क्लियर नहीं है तब आप अगर कहीं बाय कर रहे हैं तो उसमें स्ट्रेंथ होनी चाहिए, या आपके पास कोई ऑलरेडी पोजीशन है। So this could be the name which can be on your radar for the next week. Next sector, like, after IT, we were saying metal is something that one should be focusing on. So within the metal space, we were closely eyeing the top performers like Hindalco, VEDL, Jindal Steel, JSW Steel. We always talk about the top names. But now, since they are highly volatile also, means they are high beta counters. So especially when the markets are in corrective phase, one should maintain a balance. It's not that Tata Steel is not a high beta name, but still we have a cushion in Tata Steel in comparison to the other names. Why we are saying that we have a cushion in case, because this zone, as you can see, was a very tight range consolidation in Tata Steel. So in case if let's say market corrects, it might also drift further lower, but closer to around 160, 158 zone, it might settle down. So here, when in a market wherein we are seeing corrective phase, one should be extra cautious when you are selecting anything to accumulate or to buy. And as like metal was the only sector which ended in green, we expect this outperformance to continue, maybe with some consolidation. देखिए आईटी के अलावा हमने बात की थी दूसरा सेक्टर जो कि फोकस में होना चाहिए वो है मेटल का। मेटल में हम परफॉर्मेंस में पहले बहुत बार बात कर चुके हैं, वीडीएल की, हिंडाल्को की, जो कि अच्छा परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, साथ ही साथ जिंदल स्टील, जेएसडब्ल्यू स्टील। तो ये चार ऐसे नाम हैं जिनमें बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग परफॉर्मेंस हुई है, कंसिस्टेंट परफॉर्मेंस हुई है। और अब हम देख रहे हैं कि दूसरे नाम भी, जैसे नेशनल एल्युमिनियम में कल लास्ट वीक काफी अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस हुआ, वो भी अपने रिकॉर्ड हाइस के पास पहुंच चुका है। टाटा स्टील, सेल, हिंद कॉपर, इन सब में भी रिकवरी है। बट यहाँ पे बेसिकली जिस तरीके से कंसोलिडेशन हुई थी टाइट रेंज में, और उसके बाद जो ये सर्ज हुआ, उसके बाद ये पॉज पे बंद हुआ, तो यहाँ पे लगता है कंफर्ट है, जिस इन केस अगर मार्केट में थोड़ा प्रॉफिट टेकिंग आ भी जाएगा तो इसमें कुछ खास गिरावट देखने को शायद ना मिले। तो इस स्टॉक को भी आप फोकस में रख सकते हैं फॉर द नेक्स्ट वीक व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट stocks for the opportunity. Now, lastly on the list, we have PFC. And as we always talk about during the Q&A session about PSUs in particular, especially from the defense, railways, PSU banking. So they have corrected almost 40 to 50% from their record highs, most of the PSUs name, and still we are not seeing sign of decisive reversal. And then comes a couple of names which were outperformer or outrightly the very strong performer from the power space, power financing space rather, PFC, REC and all. Here, after an attempt of recovery and to make a new high, the stock couldn't surpass the last high, right? And then we had this consolidation around this, previous swing low and this breakdown. So what this indicates in a simple language कि एक distribution basically, अगर आपको कोई स्टॉक को बेचना है, अगर आप एक बड़े नाम है, म्यूचुअल फंड है, आप फॉरेन इंस्टीट्यूशन है, और आपको स्टॉक को बेचना है बगैर स्टॉक के प्राइस को डिटोरेट किए हुए, मतलब ज्यादा उसमें आप आपकी वजह से ही ज्यादा डिक्लाइन ना आ जाए, तो ऑब्वियसली आप डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, आप धीरे धीरे करके बेचते हैं उसको। तो इसके लिए बेसिकली ये डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का फेज रहा, जिस पूरे फेज में ग्रेजुअली डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हुआ ये स्टॉक, कि अपने रिकॉर्ड हाइस के पास गए, फिर वहां से नहीं हो पाया धीरे धीरे करके, और अब वहां उस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का ब्रेकडाउन आने की इंडिकेशन है। तो while the other PSUs, they are already down and out, there's still room for further decline in PFC and REC. So accordingly, one should plan their trades. So net, both Nifty banking index looks negative after this sharp correction, and 25,600 is something that is the key area in case if we see any recovery. Downside 24,750 to 24,350 is the zone where we have the next support. Banking looks comparatively okay. Why? Because we have already seen a very sharp decline, and the private banking majors, they are very closer to their support areas. So around 51,000, 50,500 zone, we may see, banking taking a breather next week. So they might not fall in same quantum to what we see in Nifty index. Stock specific, three key sectors that one should be focusing: IT, metals, and pharma. So from the IT and metals, Infosys and TCS, we've shared the graphs and talked about the potential based on the chart patterns. At the same time, PFC is one candidate from the PSU basket wherein we see possibility of further decline or further profit taking. तो देखिए इसको अगर दो लाइनों में अगर हमको समझना है कि मार्केट में नेक्स्ट वीक क्या करें, तो जब तक 25,600 को ब्रेक नहीं करते हैं तब तक सेल ऑन राइज मींस बाउंस पे बेचने की अपॉर्चुनिटी ढूंढना वो एक सही स्ट्रैटेजी होगी. बैंकिंग कंपैरेटिवली शायद कम गिरेगा, तो उसमें आपको शायद उतनी अपॉर्चुनिटी ना मिले, और वो एक्सट्रीम ओवरसोल्ड पोजीशंस हैं कुछ प्राइवेट बैंक्स में, तो ऑब्वियसली उन्हीं की वजह से शायद थोड़ा सा बाउंस आपको देखने को मिले. और स्टॉक स्पेसिफिक ज्यादा फोकस करना है, जैसे कि हमने बात की मेटल, आईटी और फार्मा, वहां पे लॉन्ग साइड के ट्रेड जब भी मार्केट में बाउंस या रिकवरी कब मिले तो इनको प्रेफरेंस दीजिएगा. यू विल ऑटोमेटिकली सी द डिफरेंस, ना कि जो कि ऑलरेडी पिटे हुए शेयर हैं जिनमें बिल्कुल भी रिकवरी नहीं है, या जो कि ऑलरेडी आपके लॉसेस में है, उनमें नहीं. साथ ही साथ शॉर्टिंग के लिए हमने बात की पीएफसी पे. सो दिस इज ऑल from the presentation part. So let's do a quick feedback poll. So आपका feedback basically session कैसा लगा आपको, and then you can use एक Q&A वाला बटन जो आपकी स्क्रीन पर है to ask any question. All right, so those who are done with the feedback, they can start posting their question using that Q&A button. कोई भी सवाल है रिलेटेड टू एनी पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर, किसी सेक्टर के बारे में जानना चाहते हैं और मार्केट इन जनरल के बारे में और डिटेल में बात करना चाहते हैं, डेफिनेटली यू कैन पोस्ट योर क्वेश्चंस. ऑल राइट, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद Q&A नाउ. Okay, so first question from Aditi Ray about defense sectors. So, like, what we've shared a couple of minutes ago, rather, that though they have corrected roughly around 30-40% from their record high, still we are not seeing any sign of reversal. So yes, there was marginal pullback of late in some of these names, be it BEL, BHEL and all, but sustainability is missing, and especially stocks like Cochin Shipyard, Majgaon, Dock, there the recovery was almost negligible. So still I would say that please do not add to your loss-making position. They are very closer to their major support areas, but still there is no sign of reversal yet. So what if they break their critical support? So they might inch further lower 5-10%. As of now, if you are holding it for the long-term point of view, you can stay put, but be prepared, like, it might take a year or maybe more than that. Okay, so next, Mr. Ajay Gupta, sir, hi, you didn't do the webinar last week. So yes, Mr. Gupta, we didn't do the webinar because not this webinar, but the other one. We have this rollover webinar, which we do on every Friday, last Friday of the month. wherein we talked about the F&O rollover and how the markets are placed based on the derivative data. So that's equally important. Other than that, we post a summary on the last weekend also, means though it's in Hindi. So if you're okay with Hindi, so definitely you can go on our social channel on Religare Instagram and YouTube, and you can find that video. So every last Friday of the Saturday rather, because we record on Friday. So Saturday and Saturday evening, Sunday morning is something that we post. You can check that when you, especially for the last session. Okay, so now the question from him is on chemicals. So chemicals is basically a mixed bag. Means of late we were seeing that some of these chemical names doing well, and uh, in fact Tata Chemicals in today's session also, like, was holding strong. Then we have stock like PI and uh, Chambal fertilizer from the fertilizer space, not from the chemical basket per se, but yes, there were certain names which were holding strong. But again, we have started seeing some selling pressure emerging. So stock like SRF, which didn't participate, again we are seeing a pressure. So if we talk about, if let's explore. Uh, So it's a normal correction, in the sector. I would say that, especially if the stock is largely in sync with the market trend, means they were, trading with a positive bias till last week, and if they are seeing some correction, so it is okay. And those stocks which were not aligned altogether, means to the market move, they were anyways declining within the chemical space, then please refrain. So if you have anything which is aligned to the market trend, it is okay. But do maintain stop losses in that case also, because since mid cap and small cap, though they are not underperforming the market big time as of now, but still there's a possibility that in the uh, next leg of decline, they might underperform. So be cautious on that front. Okay, so next question from Mr. Vishal Jain on natural gas. And so basically, commodities is something that, it's not we touch upon during this presentation, but yes, one point which I would definitely like to discuss here about the oil sector, means crude. So why we are seeing this panic altogether? So we usually refrain from getting into the detail, the why part, that why the markets are declining. And so for us, those who are more interested, into the short-term aspect of the markets, we are more concerned about the what part, what is going on in the market. So whether if I bought it at 100, my stock has trading at 110, this turn is up, I should book profit, or if it comes down to 95, I should exit. Why it's going up and why it's going coming down, that's not something that we touch upon. But one important factor that one should definitely know what's going on, especially in the market like this, and why we are seeing this kind of pressure. So crude is something which is very critical to us, not only as economy, uh, but the in various ways basically. So in the last 2 days, the crude has jumped up nearly 10%. The Brent crude was quoting at 70 a couple of days ago, and now it's at 77, 78. So this escalation in geopolitical tension in the Middle East, it was there earlier also. It's not something which is new, but now the fresh escalation has raised the fear that there could be shortage of crude, which could dent the prospects of uh, crude staying at the lower end. And why it is important to us, because 80% of our import bill is of crude. So इंडिया, क्योंकि हम लोग क्रूड को इंपोर्ट करते हैं, तो जब आपका घर का बजट, जिसमें कि कोई एक चीज जिसमें 100 रुपए में से 80 रुपए उसमें आप खर्च करते हैं और उसका दाम बढ़ जाए तो ऑटोमेटिकली आपका बजट खराब हो जाएगा. दैट इज व्हाट वी आर सीइंग इन द मार्केट. सो द sharp correction is largely due to this crude oil effect. And still, there's a lingering fear that this fight may escalate. So that we have to see. So as of now, crude after this sharp rise uh, still can see further up move. So like 80, 82 zone is something that it might heads to. So it is positive for refiners, but sectors which are dependent on crude for their raw material like paints, which were seeing recovery of late when the crude was declining, have started seeing correction like Asian Paint, Berger Paint, and all. Same holds true for OMCs also. So I hope it answers your query. Okay, so again, yes, question on defense sector. So is it the right time to buy if the view is 3 to 4 years? I would say the best way to look for anything to worth investable is on the basis of their earnings. So maybe at times when the sector gets re-rated, so then we see different kind of multiples in the sectors. Wait for the quarterly numbers and then see if the stock prices also see some sign of traction. Otherwise, again, for the next 3 months, the stock sector will be in lull. So if 2-3 years of perspective, then focus on defense companies which are export oriented also. Those who are just catering to the internally, that might not benefit big time, but those who have capabilities and have order book accordingly that they are exporting also, definitely in that space you can selectively look. Okay, so Mr. Ashok Dani has that some scripts which can be handed over to the next generation. So Mr. Dani, I'm afraid that I cannot talk about stock specific. So we just share stocks basis on our price reading and all. But if you're associated with us, you can send an email to your respective relationship manager or the business partner, and they will share you the list of stocks wherein we have investment recommendation running. So definitely you can look to add those names based on the 3 years, 5 years of time horizon, or maybe more. Okay, so next we have Corinta ji on gold and finance stocks. So again, though it's something which is separate to what we talk about during the presentation, but just for the knowledge of our participants, gold is basically something that we always recommend as a hedge to your portfolio. So even if you are investing in the equities and your time horizon is 10 years, 15 years, still 10%, 15% of your entire portfolio, if you maintain in gold, in the bad times, it provides at least some hedge to your portfolio. Especially in the market like this, wherein the equities are coming down, if you'll see that gold is trading up, is roughly around 3-4%, maybe more than that in the recent week. So this is the kind of hedge basically. And finance stocks, yes, overall, if you talk about from the long-term point of view, definitely we have some of the quality names which one can look at and short-term fluctuations, they might continue because that is what we are seeing in the banking space as well. But comparatively, they are doing better, the finance names, NBFC basket. So yes, you can selectively utilize this correction to accumulate quality names. Okay. Thank you. So I'll definitely convey a concern to the team that they should definitely post about this session on app also. So I'll definitely share your concern. Okay. Okay, so stock specific queries, there were a couple of queries which we suggest please not to share. So I guess we are clear with this idea so far that what to do and what not to do. So a don't do's list is something which is very short, and for don'ts obviously we have a long list. So the focus should be more on like which we should do. Means avoid averaging to your loss making positions, sectors which are still trading weak. Please do not add and look for fresh buying. IT, metals, pharma, wherein we are seeing resilience, something that if you are interested only in buying, so whenever the market gives you the opportunity, one should act accordingly. Otherwise, do maintain few shorts also if you are trading, but completely upon how much you understand derivatives, and accordingly you should take the call. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your time and patience to hearing this presentation. So this is all for today, and next week, same time we'll connect again. Thank you. Thank you so much.